The property has frontage along East Old Maple Avenue and is commonly known as 6360 East Old Maple. 3 new lots totaling 19.74 acres. Surveyor is Mr. Tolles. The applicant is requesting to subdivide the parent tract, creating 3 new lots. Health department is still pending, as public sewer is not available. It is not in a flood zone. Lots do meet the minimum lot size. The lots do exceed the minimum lot size requirement. East Old Maple is a secondary collector level roadway with proposed road width right of way of 60 feet. Stormwater drainage is not required with minor subdivisions. An easement is platted for ingress egress to serve lots 2 and 3. This is kind of an interesting case. Vigo County Parks Department has an easement on the property, which is deed 390, page 592, for the impoundment of and temporary detention of any normal floodwaters below 531.63 feet. Vigo County Park Superintendent Adam Grossman stated that the Parks Department wished to retain the easement. The surveyor notes that it is possible that there is land as a part of this petition that is affected by the water storage easement. The property owner and developer should consider this easement and choose carefully any future developments. There's also a gas line running north-south through the property. The surveyor states that they were unable to discover deeds related to that line for this property. The property owner should be aware that restrictive easements frequently accompany lines of this nature and should plan future developments accordingly. So the approval of the plat is of course contingent upon it being recorded in 90 days. Outside of the above mentioned items, staff has no additional concerns with the subdivision request. We do offer a favorable, however, the following conditions do apply: health department approval, road cut permits if needed, addition of the existing Vigo County Parks Department easement to the plat, or the new deed and title for the property.
Matt, did you have anything you wanted to add to staff's report on that? Okay. Any questions from anyone on the Plan Commission?
Yeah, we pulled the paper, Adam and I went down to the recorder's office and pulled them and looked at and read it together. Easements are in perpetuity until they are either abandoned or erased via the subdivision process. So I did contact Adam. As an interested party, that is their easement. He said he wished to retain it. So our request conditionally is that it continue forward onto this new subdivision plan.
I have one. What level of detail are we looking at for this on the plat? Since it's related to elevation rather than a legal description, is that a text box, or are we looking at elevations in an actual drawing?
There is no topo submitted with it. Minor plats don't require topo surveys. So we don't know exactly where that line is. But it's called out specifically to that height. So I guess if the property owner wanted to hire a surveyor to come out and do elevations, they could stake the extent of that.
Do you happen to know that, Matt?
We could approximate it when we make the plat edit. We'll denote it on the.
Okay.
I can foresee room for, I mean, we've dealt with that with Home Lake.
It's for the backwaters of
Yeah.
Hawthorne Park is what it is. I'm sure.
That GA case wetlands right there.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay. Anything else from the Plan Commission? Anyone here would like to speak to this issue? No, I'll entertain a motion.
So move approved.
Those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Next item under new business, subdivisions with county rezonings, docket number 41, file number 24, 2025 Graham and Cunningham Development.
Would you like both of these related items heard concurrently?
Yes.
Okay. Subdivision first. The property is east of Main, south of Front, and north of Railroad Streets along an undeveloped and unplatted front street in the town of Sealyville. 6.12 acres. Surveyor is Mr. Wagner. The request is to replat portions of the Dyes Addition and an abandoned railroad right-of-way, creating 18 new lots for residential development. Health Department review is still pending. Those sewer mains are going to be extended by the developer. These roads are within the town of Sealyville. The town board will accept or decline the dedication of the new roads. Public water is available. Indiana American is not the service provider. The petitioner is working with HWC to get water issues resolved and IDEM paperwork completed. It's not in the flood zone. Currently, the lots do not exceed the minimum lot size requirement. RS requires 20,000 square feet. The rezoning that accompanies this petition will allow the lot size to be reduced to 5,500 square feet with all utilities. The road extensions are platted with 50 feet, right-of-way of 50 feet. The Town Board of Sealyville has submitted written comments stating that the developer will not be required to install curb and guttering. The developer will be required to maintain the roadway to match the current width and height of the existing roadway. No details were provided on the plat. Town Board also has requested the developer ensure proper drainage of rainwater. As noted, this subdivision does have an accompanying rezoning. The plat will need the addition of fire hydrant locations. The road cross-section and drive cut design are missing. The zoning on the subdivision is incorrect. Anytime you deal with old railroad property, it can be tricky. Rail lines frequently will abandon the existing surface use but retain the rights to redevelop the ground. Staff would encourage the developer, out of an abundance of caution, to request an insurable, marketable title for that portion of ground. There is a delay on the title work and transferring a portion of the property from the commissioners. Commissioner Klinkenbeard has provided written comment assuring that the transfer of the property has been approved, allowing for the subdivision to move forward. Staff is appreciative of the developer approaching the Town Board of Sealyville prior to the subdivision application. In doing so, he has set forth a clear path and laid forth the expectations of the Town of Sealyville. Knowledge of these expectations aids in accommodation of their demands and helps the developer in meeting or exceeding their expectations. This is a significant development in the Town of Sealyville. A project of this magnitude at this location is rare and needed. Given the gravitas of the proposed development, it's only fitting that we devote an equal measure in assuring compliance with the wishes of the Town Board of Sealyville and the subdivision control ordinance. Accordingly, staff is favorable on the primary request, however, would recommend the secondary table to be tabled for further detail and plat amendments, the need for which is evidenced by the volume of items listed as conditions needing attention prior to the secondary submittal. The petitioner will, of course, then have up to 2 years of additional time to file the secondary plat without need of reconsideration of or reapplication for the primary plat. So we offered a favorable on the primary with the following that need to be addressed by the secondary: the road cut cross-section approval, drive cut design addition, drainage and erosion control plan approval, bonding for infrastructure improvements if needed, fire department approval for hydrant placement, hydrant locations to be indicated on the plat, addition of utility easements, location on the plat, health department approval, evidence of vacation of Front Street, recording of the title of the commissioner's property. This item has been completed. Number 11 has been completed, which is validation of the OTD Development Group as an operable business in Indiana. We have recommended, though this is not a condition, that a marketable title of the former railroad property be provided, some minor plat corrections, and then approval of the rezone.
Is the petitioner present?
I would like to add that Mr. Graham has been very good in working with this. He's been in our office 3 or 4 times to stop to talk to us about things, and most of the conditional items as a part of the subdivision are either in progress or he has started on getting those boxes checked.
Good. Go ahead.
I guess everything Jared said I agree with. If you guys have any questions.
Any questions from anyone on the Plan Commission?
I do have a concern. When it comes to the properties being transferred to ownership, so like other homes will be built there, is there still guarantee that the railroad will not come back one in the future?
Yeah, the title company, I got a clear title to the place, to the deed, so there's no way they can come back. I checked, after Jared talked to me, then I checked with the title company, and they said it's a clear deed. I got insurance, so it's solid.
Okay. So that doesn't concern me over time
Yeah.
that they'll come back.
According to them, they cannot come back.
Okay.
They can't find anything in writing, nowhere stating that.
Okay.
But if the title company gives you the clear deed, then,
I mean, that's an
I think that'd
insurance
have a-
product, I get it. But
Yeah.
people, own that land someday, and that someday could be contested again, so that's just a concern.
yeah.
So you stated that railroad couldn't find anything,
No, that the title company couldn't find anything from the railroad.
so what you had supersedes something else that's not the railroad?
That's what they said.
It's a protection, sure, but it's not, I'm concerned, because the abandonment process means they don't want anymore, so there's one anymore, right? They don't-
Right. And the whole railroad down through there, everyone else already got stuff built on it, so I don't know how they could ever come back.
you never, you know what I mean, you just don't know.
Yeah.
When it comes to, you're gonna transfer properties, telling people all the time.
Right.
We're not gonna know we had this conversation, I'm just
Okay.
concerned, a little bit concerned.
Is business. I got a clear deed and title. The title company says there's nothing they can do.
Yeah, I think that's the best you can do, I just,
Okay.
it's a.
Okay. Anything else?
I got title insurance on the property. Yes. Yes.
I'd just like to say thank you, Mr. Graham. I know this isn't the first project you've taken on in Cedarville, and like Jared says, it's not every day we've got somebody wanting to build out there. So thank you for your investment, and I wholeheartedly support this.
Okay.
Anything else from the Plan Commission? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to this issue? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
For both of them?
For both approvals? Okay.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Yeah. Thanks.
Next item, under new business subdivisions with county rezonings, docket number 8, 2025, 2003 North Main, 2011 First Street East, Ohio, RS to R1 Single Family Residential District. That's the same one we just did, that's why I couldn't
Yes.
find it. I was looking under county rezonings. Okay, so that's done. All right, next item under subdivisions, major primary, docket number 46, file number 25, 2025 Pin Oak.
Okay, so this property is east of or behind the property commonly known as 2021 North 4th Street in Sealyville. 6.64 acres. Road access is on North 4th Street and then a private drive. The request is to subdivide and replat multiple parcels, creating 5 new lots for residential development. This is just a primary request only. Health Department review is still pending. Sanitary sewer is available. Infrastructure does not currently exist to support lots 4 or 5. Public water is required, however, it has been indicated that not enough water is available to support this development. It is not in a flood zone, lots do exceed the minimum lot size requirements. Stormwater drainage will be required with a major subdivision. Apart from concerns over the availability of public water and sewer, concerns also exist about the private drive. The max drive width is and can only be 20 feet. The same private drive would be utilized to access all lots. The subdivider will need to demonstrate to the reasonable satisfaction of the Plan Commission that the private roads will be properly maintained. For private streets not dedicated, the Plan Commission at its discretion may waive the requirement that the applicant complete and dedicate roads or waive the requirement for bonding and paving on rural residential subdivisions consisting of 12 lots or less. Said private roads shall be constructed to meet the geometric standards as set forth in the ordinance, except for the paving requirement. All paved roads and access ways shall be designed and constructed to facilitate the safe and convenient movement of motor vehicle and pedestrian traffic. The provisions of the ordinance dealing with drainage shall determine the width of the road, use of the curb and gutter, and paving specifications. The applicant has requested a waiver from those sections, as just quoted above, to keep the 20-foot road width right-of-way. Now, staff's concern is the safety of both the residents and the emergency services personnel and the need to access the extent of the subdivision given the restricted road width. If a compromise is sought, a cul-de-sac may be appropriate. Also, after speaking to the surveyor, he said that they may be able to just go ahead and extend the drive on up, creating a loop. If so, that would be an acceptable alternative as well. So we offered a favorable on the primary, and needed prior to secondary was the drainage and erosion control plan approval, bonding for infrastructure if needed, and then fire department approval with attention paid to safe ingress, egress of emergency response vehicles.
Is the petitioner present? Anything you'd like to add to staff's report? No. Okay. Any questions from the Plan Commission? Anyone here speaking in opposition to this request? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next item under new business, subdivisions, major secondary, docket number 42, file number 25, 2025 Wabash Place.
The property is bounded by First Street, Wheeler Avenue, Arlith Street, and Margaret Avenue. and has several addresses, perhaps the easiest being to find 50 East Margaret Avenue, which is a building that no longer exists. It's 5 acres, surveyor is Mr. Mossenbaum. The request is to replat and combine 7 parcels and multiple lots into a single lot of use for construction of a multifamily residential development. This is the secondary request. Since the last submittal, which was the primary request, we only have a couple of updates. We've gotten public water is available, as the main does front these properties. Of course, public sewer is available. As noted, this is a secondary request, primary having been given in April of this year. Surveyor's report has been included, zoning info and flood zoning info and road names have been added. City engineering will still need to approve a site plan. Additional dedication of right-of-way is not included on the plat. A 5-foot easement for an electric line has been added. The surveyor notes that there is an overhead electric, telephone, and cable line encroachment by as much as a foot over the western line of the former lot number 5. No easements were provided. The property owner should either provide written acceptance of the encroachment or negotiate an easement to be amended on the plat. We offered a favorable on the secondary with the following recommendation. This is just a recommendation prior to recording. A resolution for that electric, telephone, and cable encroachment. Items that we consider conditional for the approval were site plan approval from city engineering, stormwater and drainage approval, fire department approval, and then bonding for infrastructure if required.
Okay. Is the petitioner present?
Patrick Sawinski, Project Civil Engineer.
Okay. Anything you'd like to add to staff's report?
Nothing to add unless there's any questions.
Okay. Anyone on the planning commission have any questions? Anyone here that would like to speak in opposition to this request?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item under new business, subdivisions, major secondary, docket number 47, file number 28, 2025, Innovation Grove.
Just as a refresher, the property does have a common address, but due to the large size of the parent tract, some 308 acres, it's some distance from any other addressed properties. This is the request to subdivide 49.566 acres, creating 3 new lots. So this is a secondary request for lots 1 and 2. The secondary request for Block A, which was the whole of the property, was approved back in July of 2024. Okay, so a couple of quick updates since the primary. The city of Terre Haute has agreed to service this area for fire protection. And over the past several months, efforts have been made to meet all conditions as previously indicated on the primary approval for lots 1 and 2. Supporting documentation is attached to attest to those completed approvals. The petitioner has indicated that they've not quite finished with the secondary plat and that minor changes may still be needed. Wishing to expedite the approval process, the petitioner has requested that in accordance with the subdivision control ordinance for Vigo County, which is section 61039C, the Area Plan Commission delegate to staff the authority to grant secondary approval. The body of work as evidence of completion is sufficient for staff to feel comfortable accepting the secondary plat and offering certification once submitted.
Okay, thank you. The petitioner is present.
Good evening, Tyler Carney from Rose Holman. Nothing to add, really. Appreciate the commission's consideration and Jared and staff's recommendation.
All right, thank you. Anybody on the planning commission have any questions for him? Okay, thank you. Anyone here speaking in opposition to this request? If not, we're being asked to just simply delegate the authority to staff to provide the secondary approval when they get the paperwork. So I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next item under new business subdivisions, major primary secondary, docket number 28, file number 17, 2025, replat of tract 2 in Lucas Corner.
The property is fronted along North Lucas Street, commonly known as 8201 North Lucas, 2.62 acres. The surveyor is Mr. Keller. The request is to replat Lot 2, creating one new lot. The Health Department review is still pending as soil borings are needed to determine suitability for a septic system. Sanitary sewer is not available. It's not in a flood zone. The next page. Lots do exceed the minimum lot size requirement. Stormwater drainage is typically required with major subdivisions. The addition of one lot at this location should not prove to burden the existing infrastructure. This is a major subdivision due only to the number of lots created from the parent tract over time. Due to the size and intended use of the property, staff would request a waiver of the major subdivision rules in favor of the minor subdivision rules. So we offered a favorable on the primary and secondary, with the intent needing to be recorded within 90 days and then a health department approval.
Is the petitioner present? Anything you'd like, go ahead.
No, I'm the petitioner. No,
Okay.
nothing to add, just if there's any questions.
Okay. Anyone on the planning commission have any questions? Anyone here to speak in opposition to this request? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item under new business, docket subdivisions, major primary, secondary, docket number 31, file number 18, 2025, refreshment services, one lot.
The property is the local headquarters for a soft drink company and is affiliated with the address of 4101 4th Parkway, 7.372 acres. The surveyor is Mr. White. The request is to replat Lot 1 in Fort Harrison South Sub, expanding the lot to allow for a future building expansion. Health Department has approved the sanitary sewer is available. Public water is available. It's not in a flood zone. The lot does exceed the minimum lot size requirement. Stormwater drainage will be required with the major subdivision. The plat does indicate an area for detention of roof drainage. The City of Terre Haute Engineering will need to approve the stormwater and drainage plan as well as any site plans for the building addition. Property is zoned M2 heavy industrial and the use is in keeping with zoning district. We offered a favorable on the primary and secondary with the following needed prior to permitting: the drainage and erosion control plan, bonding for infrastructure if needed, recording within 90 days, site plan approval for the building expansion. And on number 3, fire department approval, I did receive, excuse me, I did have a phone conversation with a representative from the Terre Haute Fire Department that they're currently, the FDC or the fire department connection is difficult to access. And they would like a new one put on the building expansion. I said that is a part of the civil design to the set. They can work with the city when that time comes.
Right.
But I did put as a condition the fire department approval.
Okay. Is the petitioner present? Anything you'd like to add to staff's report? No? Any questions? Okay. Any questions from the planning commission? Anyone here speaking in opposition to this request? I will entertain a motion.
So move approval.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thanks. Next item under new business subdivisions, major primary, secondary, docket number 45, file number 26, 2025, J.L. Harvey, one lot.
The property is commonly associated with 13070 Pimento Circle, 2.13 acres. The surveyor is Mr. Wagner. The request is to remove the existing home from the surrounding acreage, creating one new lot. Health Department review is still pending. Soil borings are needed to determine suitability for a septic system, as sanitary sewer is not available. Public water is not available. It's not in a flood zone, and the lot does exceed the minimum lot size requirement. Stormwater drainage is typically required with major subdivisions. This is again a major subdivision due to the number of lots created from the parent tract over time. Given the size and intended use, staff would request a waiver of the major requirements in favor of the minor requirements. Res 1 is the tax classification, but it's listed on the zoning district on the plat. So the property appears to be zoned RS, residential suburban. It will have setbacks of 25 feet in the front and the back and 5 on the sides. So staff does not foresee any significant impacts on local infrastructure with this request. We offered a favorable on the primary and secondary with a road cut permit if needed, recorded within 90 days, health department approval, and then some minor plat amendments.
Mr. Shagley.
Mr. President, fellow members of the Commission, my name is Richard Shagley. I'm with law firm Wright, Shagley & Lowry, and tonight I'm here on behalf of the petitioner in this matter. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. The whole purpose of this is simply Mr. Harvey is carving this piece out to give to his neighbor to square off his property and give him some insulation. So that's the kind of why we're here tonight.
Any questions for Mr. Shagley? Anyone here speaking in opposition to this request? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion approved.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item under new business county rezonings, docket number 27, UZO number 6, 2025, 6638 South State Road 63, from an RS to a C2 Community Commercial District.
Yes, the common address is 6638 South State Road 63 in Terre Haute. The property is located on the east side of South State Road 63, approximately 150 feet north of Oak Ridge Parkway. It is currently zoned RS Single Family Residential. The proposed zoning is C2 Community Commercial District for a gas station and restaurant. This area is identified as low residential primarily. The surrounding uses are either agricultural or residential. The property is the former site of Joan and Yogi's gas station, convenience mart, and restaurant. The original use and zoning would be considered legal non-conforming use if they were still in business. The property has sat vacant now for several years. As the use has been discontinued for more than 18 months, it has lost the legal non-conforming status and must be brought into compliance. Little should be needed to make the property compliant. The property owners have leased the former business location and wish to rezone the property so that it can be again used as a convenience mart and restaurant. The tenant has applied for remodel permits for cosmetic and aesthetic improvement. Reuse and redevelopment of existing properties is encouraged. We offered a favorable on the C2 Community Commercial District rezoning request.
Is the petitioner present? Anything you'd like to add to staff's report? Any questions for the petitioners? Anyone here speaking in opposition to this request? Sure, come on up, give us your name and address.
My name is Adam Power. I live actually at 6700 South State Road 63, right next door to Joan and Yogi's. I know Yogi pretty well. I wanted to share some concerns of myself and several others in the Oak Ridge subdivision that I've had discussions with. I first want to say when Yogi was when he was the owner and operator of that property, we got along really well. Really loved Yogi, had a great relationship with him. Can't say the same about the current leaseholder. I just wanted to bring a few things to your attention. They say that it is going to be a gas station / food place. It is advertised as a tobacco, candy store, and vape shop. So I want to make sure that that's clear because my concerns all are solely around that. I am a family man, and as are much of the people who are behind me in that Oak Ridge subdivision. And that a lot of their concerns are safety for our children. We know, I looked up the FBI's demographic and information on their website about where vape shops are built and places that offer vapes. They are built in low income and high crime areas, and they bring about the same demographic. So my concern is my daughter plays in that front yard, and as well as other people's kids are around there. It is a business that is a masquerading as a candy shop, but they have signs all over the place for tobacco and vapes. So those are some of my big concerns. You think about the average home price in the subdivision just behind us is $245,500. Is that really what we want coming into this area? Most of which those people work at the federal prison or other high income areas. We all know that Honey Creek Township is a really nice township, and we would like to keep it as such. So those are great things that I wanted to bring forward. This is something that myself and other neighbors, we have had quite a few of them, have had this discussion. It's something that we would like to prevent coming into our area. So those are just a few of our concerns. Personal concerns for me is, I've also brought it up to the new leaseholder, lights. I have actually called the county a couple times, and I know others have called and complained about the lights that they shine in I have pictures of them if you wish to see them, that they have shined in my house and on my front lawn. You could almost land a Cessna in my front front lawn when they're, and the current leaseholder said, it is for my safety and the safety of my children. So obviously, he knows that there is going to be some concerns there. So that is a big concern of mine. But I just want to leave you guys with this and ask you one question. Would any of you, and I respect what you guys are doing, would any of you want a discount vape, tobacco, and candy shop, TikTok candy shop next to your house? And if not, I would please ask you to vote with such, thinking about your children. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Jeff McIntosh, and I am a resident in the very neighborhood next to Mr. Power. And my house is probably 75 feet from his house, and I don't have anything to add as concerns. He covered things very well. We did the research together. But I definitely want to state for the record that I'm totally opposed to the current business that's trying to open there. Advertising vape shops is not great for our neighborhood. We have a quiet neighborhood, no traffic, and safe, and I don't see any reason in risking any of that. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak to this issue? Yep.
I'm not in opposition to, I don't know that much about it, but what I would like to know is, I was curious when I got the letter, why it was a residential status in the first place, because it's never been a residence since we've been there. We've lived there, I don't know, since 1996, so. I'm just curious, or if there's some way, you know.
Yeah, staff reports that it was illegal non-conforming, which means it probably was a commercial establishment prior to zoning.
Okay.
Prior to-
So why
prior
would it be
to-
RS then?
Residential suburban.
And that includes commercial?
No, that's why they're wanting to rezone it.
Okay, well, that's what I'm asking is, why was it residential?
Because
RS?
because it probably was before zoning was implemented in the county. That's my guess.
So that would have
Is
been how long ago?
Would that be right, Jared?
25 years plus?
When they originally zoned the county, they would do blanket zoning.
Right.
And they identified this general area, even though the business existed there, as being primarily residential suburban.
Right.
Oh,
I rode my bike there 50 years ago, so it's been a business for at least 50
For
years.
50 years,
Yeah.
yeah. The problem is our ordinance requires them to get the zoning. You can't buy an operating business or one that has been closed and open it up again with a legal non-conforming status. You have to be, so they're here because they have to be in order to. If we leave it
Right.
residential suburban, the only choice is for somebody to use it as a residence.
right, I was just curious, because as far as I know, it's not been a residence, and we've been there a long time.
Right, yeah.
So,
Okay, thank you.
it's been a business before.
Yep. Anyone else? Anything you'd like to add?
All I say, I've been paying, commercial taxes all these years on that building, not residential.
Right.
My taxes is not cheap there. I've been paying it, and
The bills that actually cost on that because they're so high. When it was vacant, when it was board, while it was vacant and still it paid those high commercial taxes, as it, they said it was residential, so we just were a little confused on.
Right, yeah. That is not uncommon. We have that happen quite often when somebody
We've
takes
never
over.
done this before, so
Sure.
We're just all,
Yeah.
we don't know what our next step was or.
I think you're here.
yeah, we're here, we're here. I don't think it'd be that bad in the neighborhood. I mean, I've a lot of feedback from other people, that want to see it back open again. He's got a nice place where they're gonna sit down and eat, farmers gonna come and eat as well, like we had before. So they're gonna copy our menu, basically, what we give, my wife's favorite chicken and noodles, and if they're gonna do that too, they're gonna sell vape in there. I can't tell the person what not to sell.
Sure.
I mean, I can't tell them you can't sell.
Yeah.
That's not my, I can do that, but,
Okay.
there, a lot of people need that in the neighborhood, gas, bread, gallon milk, or, what you might need, basically.
Okay. Any other questions from the planning commission before we entertain a motion? No one else? Gil? Those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Next item under new business county rezonings docket number 39, UZO number 7, 2025, 8567 Wabash Avenue from an RS to a C3 regional commercial district.
So yes, the current location is 8567 Wabash Avenue, that is Terre Haute. It is currently zoned RS Single Family Residential. The proposed zoning is Z3 Regional Commercial District for the continued use of a restaurant with occasional live entertainment. Mr. Felling is their representative here this evening. Pages sticking together. This area does have a medium intensity residential development priority. Area is, of course, well served with public utilities. Surrounding is a mixed use. To the east is C7, west and north are residential suburban, and then RT, which is residential trailer park, is to the south. This is commonly known as Twiggy's or Sweet Lou's Pizzeria, which has been in operation for many years. Over the years, the business has experienced success and growth. The petitioner has also added an outdoor seating area. Rezoning to the C3 will allow the business the opportunity to continue to expand and grow without further need of rezoning. Variance for the front yard setback will be needed through the Board of Zoning Appeals. So we offered a favorable recommendation with that Board of Zoning Appeals approval for the front yard setback.
Mr. Felling.
Mr. President, members of the commission, again, Eddie Felling with Linden Felling Law Firm. It's my pleasure to be here on behalf of Twiggy's and Josh Thome, who's in the audience as well. Grew up on the east side, so been to Twiggy's. It's a staple for the east siders. One of these legal non-conforming issues where Josh went to go make some improvements, and when he went in to go pull his permits, realized that it was still zoned as residential. So Twiggy's has been around a long time. We're going to have to go in front of the BZA to ask for a few variances next week. But again, we would ask for your favorable approval so that he can continue to expand a good local business on the east side.
Any questions from anyone on the Planning Commission? Anyone here speaking in opposition to this request? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll go back in our agenda to new business, city rezonings, docket number 34, special ordinance number 19, 2025, 1522 Maple Avenue from a C1 to an R1 single-family residential.
Okay, you do have one of the handouts in front of you was the recommendation from the Department of Engineering for this. It was when we got a little bit late, so instead of it being in the packet, it is a separate document there for you.
Okay.
So the property owner is Stephen Meany and Annabelle Meany, represented by, oh, they're here to represent themselves. Proposed use is single-family residence home. Proposed zoning is R1 single-family residence district. Current zoning is C2 limited community commerce district. It is, the common address is 1522 Maple Avenue in Terre Haute. The petitioner is requesting to rezone the property from C2 limited commercial commerce district to R1 single-family residence district. It was zoned C2 in 1977 for a graphics printing business. If rezoned to residential, no business could be run out of the property other than a home occupation business. The property does not meet city code for minimum lot size for a single-family home. The property owner will be combining this lot with the other 3 lots the home occupies to meet that code. Rezoning the lot to R1 to match the surrounding zoning should not negatively alter the existing character of the neighborhood. The Department of Engineering did say that the current use is a garage and dwelling unit and has been for many years. There is no change of use and it will remain the same use as a garage/dwelling unit. The property located to the northeast and west are zoned R1 and properties located to the south are mixed with C2 and R2. The intended use would not alter the neighborhood's characteristic or create any significant problems for the surrounding area. They offered a favorable recommendation. Staff also offers a favorable recommendation.
The petitioners are present. Anything you'd like to add to staff's report?
Everything was covered.
Okay. Any questions for the petitioners from the Planning Commission? Anyone here speaking in opposition to this request? No, I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Next item under new business, city rezonings, docket number 38, special ordinance number 18, 2025, 501 and 601, South Fruit Ridge Avenue, from an R1 to an R3 general residence district.
Okay, you also have several, as Jared pointed out, several letters of remonstrance, which may be addressed later, as well as, since we did receive the traffic study, there is the new, updated amended staff
Staff
findings.
review, okay.
Real quickly, I do have a copy of that traffic study, all 78 pages? How many pages?
178 pages.
178 pages. If anybody would like to have it or a preview of it, we can provide it for
Okay.
you.
And I can also add that for the commission and the public, it's been submitted to their city council, so it's gonna show up as a public document on the council correspondence. If you just Google Terre Haute City Council, go to the June 5th meeting, there's a section that says council correspondence. The document should be in there, I hope, tomorrow. And we'll also have a copy printed in our office for anybody that wants to view it in person.
The property owners are J&L Landworks LLC, represented by Mr. Felling. The current zoning is R1 Single Family Residence District. The proposed zoning is R3 General Residence District. The proposed use is apartments. The common address is 501 and 601 South Fruit Ridge Avenue. To the northeast, south, and west are R1 and R2 to the south. The petitioners are requesting to rezone the property for multifamily development. The paddock at the park proposed site plan includes 11 buildings with 172 units. The surrounding area is single and two-family residential. The property has attempted rezoning twice. The first rezoning was in 2005 when the property was zoned for a planned unit development with only 20% of the land to be developed. In 2015, a request was made to rezone the planned unit development to R3 with the intended use of luxury apartments. This rezoning received an unfavorable recommendation citing density, not enough green space, and spot zoning as reasons for the recommendation. The petition was withdrawn. Although 2 parcels are listed on the petition, only a portion of the western parcel, commonly known as 601 South Fruit Ridge Avenue, is requested to be rezoned. The portion proposed to become paddock at the park. Rezonings follow legal descriptions, so a portion of that parcel will remain R1 Single Family Residential District. A subdivision is necessary to remove the rest of the lot and create the additional R1 lots depicted for Brickyard Estates. The Department of Engineering provided a favorable recommendation stating, the city is conducting a traffic study to collect data to review what improvements, if any, would be needed to improve public safety and traffic. The area does have adequately sized sanitary and storm sewer for this large scale of new development. The proposed housing development addresses a demonstrated need for mid to upper tier residential options within the city, helping to alleviate the current shortfall in this housing segment. This project is designed to detain the watershed from the proposed development and to direct the water to on-site detention ponds. The parcels surrounding this property are zoned R1 to the north, southwest, and west, and R1 Deming Park to the east. The proposed use will not negatively alter the existing character of the neighborhood, nor result in any substantial detriment to the surrounding properties or general welfare of the area. The Department of Engineering requested conditions of the traffic study improvement plan as needed and approved by the city engineer's office. So since I did amend my report because we did get the traffic study in. The traffic study was recently completed by the Department of Engineering. According to the East Side Development Traffic Study, the data collected and analyzed throughout the study indicated that the estimated increase in traffic from the proposed development does not create any significant new traffic-related issues, but does have the potential to accentuate some existing problems. The alternatives recommended in this report will accommodate this traffic from the proposed development and address existing concerns in this area. Staff provides a favorable recommendation with the following conditions: approval of the subdivision and site plan approval by the Department of Engineering. And Jared and I would like to thank the engineering department for the speed and thoroughness of the traffic report that we got.
Thank you. Before we begin, if we're not going to be respectful, then this will be real quick. and it would be my decision how quick it is. You will be offered an opportunity for public comment. Until then, I expect you to be quiet. Mr. Felling.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the commission. Again, Eddie Felling with Linden Felling Law Firm. It's my immense pleasure to be here this evening on behalf of not only the landowner, but also our single and multifamily developers that are here to help answer any questions. Tonight's meeting represents the 5th public meeting that we've had so far on this project, and it will include 2 more, both tomorrow night at the City Council and next week at the City Council as well. At this point, we've had a good opportunity to hear from the public with regards to what's going on with this project, but to remind you all where we're at, if you'll recall, we were here a month ago. Mr. Marvel was here to speak on behalf of the TIF district that's also coincides with this project as well. This is a newer concept, that being that residential TIF district coupled with a commercial TIF district in this area. One important point, and I'll clarify this as well tomorrow night as well, the planned rezoning in this case goes hand in hand with that TIF district. So if one doesn't happen, the other one doesn't happen either. And so with that point, again, I'd like to emphasize that this is a $70 million development on the east side. This is, as Sydney's done a great job with her staff report, indicates it helps tremendously with our housing shortage that we have in Terre Haute. We hear time and time again with new developments, new companies wanting to come to this town. One of the biggest issues, if not the biggest issue, is the housing issue. And number 2 are our schools, and this will help with both of those. Coupled with the $70 million in development, there's $5.5 million that's available through the state of Indiana through this residential TIF program. It's called a RIF. If we miss this opportunity, we're going to be giving away that $5.5 million to another community that's outside of Terre Haute. Mr. Koister's here this evening. He's put together a great PowerPoint that helps show what the project actually looks like. Sydney mentioned it, but to clarify, the original legal description included the vast majority, if not all, of the parcel. We didn't have a legal description yet. Essentially, it's the eastern half that we're here to talk about this evening, but because this project in its entirety goes all together, the single family, the multifamily, the TIF is all one packaged product. That's why we wanted to be able to be prepared to talk about all of those issues. One thing that has come up before tomorrow night's meeting that I'd like to address, and you'll see it in these photographs, are the roads and the access points. I haven't seen Mr. Mauer's traffic study yet, but there has been some ongoing concern about Adams Boulevard, which connects to Edgewood Grove, that would be a thoroughfare. It would connect. It will not, absolutely unequivocally, will not connect to this neighborhood. There's a city easement that goes through that area, so there's no way, even if they wanted to, without additional city approval, to connect that piece of the road. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Koister. I know you're going to have a lot of comments this evening from the public. If any of you have any questions with regard to the project, I'd be happy to answer it. But again, we're looking forward to a much-needed improvement to the east side. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Good evening. My name is Brian Koister. I'm with Gibson Development. It's my pleasure to kind of walk you through what we've got in mind. You'll see on this first slide, one site, 2 housing solutions, and I'm going to take some time tonight and walk you through both of those. You can see on the site plan before you, to the left of the page is the single-family development, which we're referring to as Brickyard Estates, and to the right is the multifamily development, which is Paddock at the Park. Both are, the names are kind of paying homage to previous ownership by the Holman family, is the reason for that. Eddie had just mentioned Adams Drive. If you look, bisecting the center of the layout is what is where Adams Drive would be extended from the south. And to just reiterate Eddie's point, that road has never been contemplated to extend through to Edgewood Grove. There's really 2 ways in and out of the development. The first is on Ohio, and then the second would be to the left of the page on Brown Avenue. So 2 ways in and out. I'll just add one thing about this site, which, is the project's obviously a hot topic. I had a chance to meet with Councilman Nation, and really learn a lot about the site and the history of that site. And really, it dates back over 100 years ago when it was destined to be a future phase of Edgewood Grove. So it's really a site that hasn't been developed, but has always been intended to be residential housing. It's a 45-acre site, obviously borders Ohio Boulevard between Brown and Fruit Ridge. The Brickyard Estates portion, the single-family portion, will feature 93 single-family homes. The multifamily has 176 units. And again, this is a $70 million residential development in a residential area in a city that is in need of more residences. So we're really excited about what this could do for our community. One more thing on the layout. This isn't some plan we dreamt up. Really, I think, what do they say? Imitation's the best form of flattery. This is a concept that you see time and time again in the suburbs of Indianapolis, where you locate both single-family homes adjacent to multifamily. So we're really trying to take some of those concepts that are successful in Westfield and Noblesville and Fishers, Avon, Plainfield, and have the chance for residents of our community to enjoy that as well. You'll see here is a blow-up of the single-family Brickyard Estates. One feature of this, as we were laying it out, definitely be mindful of both Ohio Boulevard and Brown Avenue, was to have rear load garages. So the front of the house obviously addresses the main thoroughfare in Ohio and Brown, and then the garage is located in the rear, served by an alley. So this eliminates any driveways off of Ohio Boulevard, any backing out into Ohio, and I think will really address Ohio Boulevard in a proper way. A few details on the single-family side. So throughout the entire development, not just the single-family, but there's no vinyl siding. Everything will be cement board and either brick or stone as an accent. That'll provide maintenance-free homes, energy efficient, obviously. The rear load garages we had spoke about, extensive landscaping. I'll have a slide here at the end of the presentation that'll, I think, give you a feel for the extent of the landscaping. And then varied home design. So right now, we propose somewhere between 5 and 6 different models. Each of those models has variations to its layout and elevation that will create a housing development where all the houses are individual and unique, but they all fit within a similar type of theme, which it's going to prevent having, a colonial house next to an English Tudor and so forth. So the houses will look like they all kind of belong within the same family, if you will. Next slides are a few different images of the single-family homes. You can see here, these are rear load garage homes, as I had mentioned. The next 3 slides are just some examples of what the models would look like. They vary in size from 3-bedroom to 4-bedroom, and in square footage from 1,500 to 2,200. I'll show you a few examples of those. We are targeting a sales price of between $350,000 and $400,000 per home. Now I'll talk a little bit more about the paddock at the park. You see a blow up of that. It consists of 11 housing units, each containing 16 units. There are a number of garages available. I believe there's 80 available to its residents as well. One single entrance in and out, and a full Class A amenity package, clubhouse, pickleball courts, swimming pool, park, dog park, basketball courts, really anything and everything you could imagine will be offered to its residents. The housing will be a mix of 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 1-bedroom units, with the vast majority being 2-bedroom option. A few more details. Class A, obviously the management of a development like this is of utmost importance. I mean, that is really how we maintain the level that we want this development to be. So we'll have full-time professional management as well as full-time maintenance. I had mentioned the controlled access. Again, green space, building setbacks have been maximized. I'll give you, back up, I'll give you one example. If you look at the top of the page of the northernmost housing units there, that setback from the property line of the neighbors at Edgewood Grove is 165 feet, so 55 yards back from its closest neighbor. I have a few renderings, and I will mention that care was taken to make sure we didn't build an overpowering type building. You can see this is a 3-story structure, but really presents itself as a 2.5-story. And that is being sensitive to Ohio Boulevard was the reason for that. You can see some of the units with garages. All of the parking within the complex will be located on the interior side, so really hidden from the Ohio Boulevard view. Got a couple more renderings. And then probably my favorite is this one. This is a street view. So imagine pulling out of Deming Park, heading west on Ohio Boulevard, and looking off to your right. This would be your view. So this is the multifamily section of the development, the paddock at the park. And I think it really speaks to both the look, the setback of the building. It's about 60 feet off the inside edge of the sidewalk. So we're off the sidewalk quite a bit. And then you can get a feel for the tree rows maintained, and then once you look inside of that tree row, you can see the amount of landscaping we intend to provide. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you. Yes, sir.
That traffic study, we have done up to the city, and you didn't either. So I wonder what the alternatives are to manage that traffic out there, the existing weaknesses we already know.
Sure, great question. I will probably defer that. When we first contemplated this project, we purposely avoided doing a traffic study ourselves. We felt, that might be viewed as biased. So the city was kind enough and willing to take over that portion. I'll let Mr. Mauer or others speak to that if they so choose. But
I would be happy to update the commission and the public on that. I think if we want to get through any other questions, maybe before we switch to public comment, if that's all right with you, Mr. President.
Sure. Yeah. Are there any other questions from any plan commission members?
I had a question, I guess, I'm concerned about the density.
Okay.
We're talking about, these are being copied throughout the state, Rich Baymont. Have you driven in some of these areas where all this development is going, and the traffic is horrendous? And I guess I'm concerned with the density projected here, proposed here. Fruitbridge is already an issue. We try to get to Denver Park, coming from Ohio, 7 times a day, it would take indefinite. Or north and south, that is an issue. I question that study, because there's already some traffic issues there. And then with the number, the closeness and the number of properties that is a problem.
Well, I think Mr. Mauer will address that. That, I believe that that's all covered in the traffic report. I have, and Marcus will be happy to do that. He was just deferring other questions first. If it's a traffic-related study, I think he'll address it at the end of any other comments from Plan Commission members, unless you want to add something. Anybody else on the Plan Commission? Questions at this time? Yes, sir.
Now, at the Brickyard Estates, that's where you're going to be putting in all these 90-some-odd apartments?
No, 93 single-family homes.
93.
Yes, sir.
How close together are they going to be? What, like this house here, are they this close or this close?
I think it varies, but I mean, they meet the minimum setbacks, but it's somewhere between 10 and 15 feet separation, which is per, the City of Terre Haute requirements.
Pretty much if somebody's talking in one house, you can hear them talking.
I would like to think not. It depends how loud you talk, though, I guess, but, no, I think it's, it's what you see in a lot of other areas.
Yeah, they got the same apartment complexes down on Poplar. I believe it's on Poplar. Just as you turn off the Fruit Ridge onto Poplar, crossing the railroad tracks, there's all kinds of.
Oh,
Those are
you're
condos.
talking about the,
Those are condos.
the condos. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's 78 condos that were recently built.
Condos are all, they all look like.
You're exactly right, and our development will definitely be different than that. Yeah. Each residence will look unique.
Observation question. You mentioned that they're all proposed to have rear garage entrance, except for on the north end of the property, or they do opposite?
Correct. So the rear load garages will be along Ohio and Brown Avenue. The remainder of the houses will be more of a traditional front load garage with a backyard, typical construction in our area.
Those are garages that are facing Ohio. Should the garage face Ohio?
No. There will not be a garage that faces Ohio or Brown.
You can probably see it best here. This would be Ohio Street, this is an alley, that would be the
Okay, so there's an alley.
Correct. These houses, you walk out of the front door, it's about a 30-foot sidewalk to the sidewalk on Ohio. Does that answer your question? Okay. You're welcome.
Marcus, this is probably as good a time as any to
Yeah.
address the traffic study, since that's a major concern.
Happy to. Marcus Meyer, city engineer for Terre Haute. So our team in engineering spent a lot of time collecting data. We've done a lot of research. I'm really proud of the team. They did a great job putting this together. We also partner with Thrive West Central for some additional data collection. So what we found through our data collection and some historical review is that, as mentioned earlier, we don't foresee a significant change, but we do make some recommended alternatives. What we're looking at is using the ITE trip generation manual. This development would produce about 2,066 trip ins per day. That's not there and back. That would be beginning at or ending at the development. It's roughly split half between the multifamily and the single family. It goes into a little more detail in the study, and again, it will be available, I sure hope, tomorrow, and there will certainly be a paper copy available in our office tomorrow for those that want to view it on paper. In our review of the data collected through the counts we had and review of historical data trends, we did go back into the 80s in some instances, looking at traffic that was on Ohio Boulevard and some of the surrounding roads. Found a few surprises there. Ohio Boulevard's actually about 1,000 cars lower per day than it was in 2014. So we're not going to be reaching up to even traffic levels that we saw in the past decade there. We didn't find any significant issues with existing crashes. It's hard to predict the future, but what we can try to do is accommodate where we expect there to be problems and, you know, what causes crashes, and make some recommendations to try to prevent those. We did do an intersection analysis on several intersections, looking at 25th Street, Brown, Ohio, Fruit Ridge, Ohio, and Fruit Ridge and Poplar. Those were the ones that kind of came to the top in looking at congestion and accident mitigation. Ran through several scenarios on those. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about every scenario we went through. It'll be in the study, and obviously we're also available for any questions if anybody has any, or if there's more questions that come from this tonight. So what a couple things we'll note is Brown, Ohio was particularly pretty safe intersection. We only had 8 accidents in 7 years. And another thing we saw was you're probably all familiar with this, some pretty high speeds on Ohio. I think the 85th percentile speed on Ohio between Fruit Ridge and Brown was 53 mile an hour in a 30 mile an hour zone. That's a concern. I'm going to jump ahead to the recommended alternatives because that's where we end up. So although we don't foresee any significant issues, there are some issues that are kind of teetering on the edge of being a bigger issue. One of them being the speed. So on Ohio Boulevard, we're recommending narrowing the travel lanes. Right now they're 12-foot travel lanes. I happened to be involved in a study back in 2007 where we narrowed those and put a bike lane in, and we checked the results, and we did see a decrease in speeds. 12 feet lanes are still the equivalent of an interstate lane. Still allows for high-speed travel, so we're looking to narrow those up to about 10 or 10.5 feet, and we would add a striped buffer to the bike lane to provide more protection to the bikers and cyclists and users of that, as well as narrowing those lanes up to get people to slow down and be more aware of their conditions. The next recommendation we're looking at, we found, in review of the accident data, we reviewed every accident that occurred in this area and looked for a root cause. We did find a little cluster of accidents at Brown and Riley. There was 3 of them there related to a sight distance issue. We're going to pursue code enforcement to see if there's something we can do for the sight prism. If not, there's an alternative striping plan that could potentially push the roadway to the west further to make it more visible. At 25th Street and Ohio Boulevard, the signal works pretty well for what it is. It is outdated equipment, so we're recommending, as a city, we're trying to work towards an updated signal program. We're recommending that would just continue on that. We may look to add a signal head or two and update the striping, but that one should just kind of come to the top of the list of what's being updated currently. At Brown, Ohio, we looked at a lot of alternatives there, and we ended up recommending that would stay as an all-way stop. It is extremely low accident rating for what it is now. Anything else could potentially raise that. And the other side is that an all-way stop is very pedestrian friendly, and we want to make sure that this corridor stays pedestrian friendly. Cars are not necessarily our primary concern here. We want to make sure that it's a complete street. So Fruit Ridge and Poplar, the common concern there and what we saw during the study, and I will note we did from the beginning of the study get out, and I think on May 7th we got out and if anybody noticed, hopefully I noticed the improvements. We did reprogram that signal to kind of fix some of those left turn issues. So there's one little side benefit of us getting out and looking. It is fun to dig into these areas. But the main thing we're seeing there is there's not enough left turn storage. I'm guessing if you drive through that neighborhood, you're going to see that there's an empty left turn lane with a bunch of people with left turn signals on that can't get there, or there's an empty straight and right lane with a bunch of people lined up. So what we're recommending there is an extension of that left turn lane to 200 feet. It's pretty much right the number we need. Federal highway guidelines look for 1 to 1.5 times the cars that make a left on the signal, and that's about 8 or 9. 10 gets us in that sweet spot, and it also just happens to be exactly what we can do without crossing the railroad tracks. So it worked out pretty nice there with that one. widening that road would get those left turners through, and it would allow more capacity for everyone else. And I think that'll be a pretty free-flowing intersection once that takes place. The other note I'll have there is we do have a camera that does detection on that, and we're looking to upgrade that to something that's online so we can monitor that intersection live, and we'll have updated traffic reports and be able to get this kind of data with a couple clicks of a button anytime we want, so we can continue to monitor that intersection, see where it goes. And then finally, we get to Fruit Ridge in Ohio. The numbers of today's traffic don't warrant a signal, and with the trends in traffic, you know, it's challenging to put one there with today's traffic numbers. With those additional trips, it does push it over that warrant and would require a signal there. So we would look to put a signal there. In addition to that, we would look to narrow up some of that Fruit Ridge Avenue intersection. It's 60 feet wide for a road that feeds it with from 24 feet either side. We get a lot of people passing very quickly for the left turners, and that's pretty dangerous for the pedestrians. So we would look to narrow that up, shorten the pedestrian crossings. I will note there's a little bit of caveat with this, that we don't know fully what's going on pedestrian-wise because we're undergoing a study for the Thompson Ditch Trail, which we expect to pop out right here. So we would want whatever crossing that is to tie in and make sure that works. But it likely looks like shortened crossings, signals, ped heads. You know, hopefully we can use some type of a smarter signal that has the ability to track pedestrians' crossing times to get as much green time as possible, but make sure that there's that safe crossing time for pedestrians. I think that's a quick summary. Happy to jump into any more detail that anybody wants to, if there's any commission members that have questions or as it comes up in discussion.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, John.
Did you consider a second entrance open to the park, because the park kind of presents a problem?
So there is a secret back entrance.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, but it's always
It's sometimes locked. One thing we did make in this recommendation I failed to mention to Ohio is we would be, so the entrances to Ohio from Fruit Ridge are kind of backwards. There's a straight and a right, and then there's a left. So if, you know, as is today, if somebody lines up there and there's somebody turning left and there's somebody that wants to go straight to the park, that's what causes that congestion right there. We would be putting that straight left to that signal and just a right turn lane, so that there would be a potential for people to keep moving. Another entrance to the park's difficult. I think the signal would address that with the rail line along the front and kind of a pretty limited access on the back. I think getting the signal in place would accommodate that.
Just a guess, but I think we need another entrance.
Mr. President, may I make one comment with
Yes,
regard to
sir.
that? One important thing for y'all to remember, all those things Marcus listed are not cheap. One thing with this project that's unique is because of the TIF district, all of these improvements that are traffic related, because they serve this TIF district, they can use TIF dollars to make those improvements. So that means it's not coming out of the city coffers and the rest of the taxpayers. This development's going to pay for those developments.
Okay. Anyone on the Plan Commission have any questions for Marcus about the study? Sure.
I saw two very good report. I like the sense of what we're doing. I'm not in contest with that. My concern is if everybody in those buildings have one job, you have a great number of people leaving at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Is that addressed in your report?
Yeah, so it is, you know, there's always outliers, but so the best data we can go off of is what's out there right now from the Institute of Transportation Engineers trip generation model, and that's the one that gave us the 2,066 trips per day. It also breaks down, so what they do is they go and look and do surveys and they study various different types of development, and it's in the appendices for the report, the section from the manual. And not only they look at how many trips are typically generated by different types of developments, they also look at what peak hour is. So we run through that peak hour scenario, and we have a model that says, you know, how many people will be exiting or entering the development during peak hour. And in this case, we'll just look at the total development. So I also note that tonight we're just discussing the rezoning portion. The study does account for the single-family portion and the rezone petition we're seeing tonight. So during that peak hour, we do see, so AM peak, it looks like total trips is 137, with 103 exiting and 36 entering, and PM peak's 178 with 67 exiting and 113 entering. And we also carried those numbers through when we looked at intersection analysis. We used those peak hours traffic numbers in conjunction with the peak hour traffic numbers we got on the street. And I'll also add that it's hard to determine which car goes which way. Do they go east or west on Ohio when they leave? Do they go north or south on Fruit Ridge? Or which way do they come home? So we chose to err on the side of caution. If you look through here for some of the signal warrants and signal analysis, what we did is we just assigned, I know it adds up to more than 100%, but we may have just determined that 80% of the cars went this way every time. So there may be some times that you don't see it add up to 100% because we tried to err on the side of the caution and said that 80% of the cars would all go to this road, 80% of the cars would all go to this road. Because I think it would be pretty unfair to say it went 50-50. I don't think that'll be the case. I don't think we'll exceed the 80. I don't think we'll get to 80. But we wanted to make sure we had something that will be conservative and safe.
I appreciate it. I will read that. I'll definitely read that. That's fascinating stuff.
Any other questions for Marcus or the petitioners from the Planning Commission? Petitioners good to receive public comment? Okay, anyone that would like to speak to this issue from the public? Come up and give us your name and address for our records.
Hi, my name is Susan Beeson. I live at 3403 Ohio Boulevard. Thank you for hearing us tonight. With respect, I was wondering, we didn't realize that we could bring a presentation, so if they wouldn't mind if we used, could you please put the slide back up of the diagram of the entire development, please?
See if I can figure it out.
Back. Go, there, that's good. All right, so one comment that I noticed was said was that these 11 buildings would not detract from the current profile of Ohio Boulevard and Deming Park. How many of you have driven down Ohio Boulevard? How many of you have walked, strolled a baby, strolled a grandchild, run, been to an event on Ohio Boulevard, of which we have many all year? I had 1,000 people in front of my house for the suicide prevention rally just a few weeks ago. So Ohio Boulevard attracts many people from many counties, from many states. And if you can look at that diagram of 11 three-story buildings with 172 or 173 units, and say that that reflects what is currently along Ohio Boulevard, then I know a good eye doctor is all I can say. It has nothing to do with Ohio Boulevard and the 100-year tradition and bequeathment of Demas Deming, who wanted this as a grand boulevard into Deming Park. Okay, enough about that. Secondly, regarding the traffic, I'm not an engineer. I don't know traffic studies, but I do live on Ohio Boulevard. And if you'll notice, I can't point it out on yours, but the one entry off of Ohio Boulevard to the apartments, okay, we call it Adams right now, but I don't know if that'll be changed. Okay, so you turn north off of Ohio Boulevard, then you turn east into the apartments. All right, so you're in the apartments. Now let's say the next morning everybody decides they're going to work or they're going to school or wherever. So there are actually two ways they can get out of that apartment complex. They can come back the way they went in and go south down Adams onto Ohio and then go right or left, okay? If they go east, they have to cross the median, and they have to wait in that median to go east on Ohio. There's no light, there's no stop sign, there's no something, there's no anything there. It's just a short space. So there's going to be a backup of traffic if they decide to go east. If they go west, they can go down Ohio Boulevard to Brown. That's no big deal. But if they decide they don't want to go on Ohio Boulevard, there's a street over to the houses, the 90-some houses that are going to be there in a row, and they can go down those streets through all of those houses while the people living in the houses can back out of their garages, pull out, take their kids to school, do whatever they have to do, and travel through all of those houses to get to Brown. That does not seem to me to be the most efficient traffic pattern that we or they could devise. Okay, there was one other comment I wanted to make regarding the landscaping. If you could show that slide, please.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, it's not mandatory, but right. I'll give you a break. I'm glad you're doing this instead of me. Okay, stop right there. That's fine. Okay. Right now, on the north side of Ohio Boulevard, the Park District takes care of that tree row. And what will that change once a development is put over there? Or will that be the burden of the developer to take care of that? That strip north of Ohio Boulevard and the median is all part of the Park District. It's part of the park. I don't know if that's state or federal. You guys would probably know that, but that's a fact. They don't take care of our side. We live on the other side, so we have to do our own, which is fine, but we're just so blessed because they do a good job of taking care of the median and taking care of that whole strip on the north side of Ohio Boulevard. So it's something to think about. Regarding the design of the homes, and I'm sorry I gave you such a hard time the other night. I said, be creative, come up with something really creative. As far as those homes are concerned, they're nice homes. They're really close together, whatever, but they don't reflect what's on Ohio Boulevard. You can drive down that entire boulevard and you're not going to see, I call it a farmhouse, and that's not an insult. It's just a style of home. It's a two-story home with a little porch on the front, and they're fine. But that's not reflective of what the boulevard is. You've got a gem here. You need to make it sparkle. You don't need to make it dull. Once it's gone, it will be gone forever. That land will never come back. And you have to realize that. This is a chance for everyone in this room to think about the gift that Ohio Boulevard and Deming Park gives to the city of Terre Haute and the surrounding area. I hope you think long and hard about this.
And I do have an answer for your questions about the maintenance. So the
Yes.
Parks Department maintains the median as a linear part of our park system.
Yes.
While they do maintain the North Tree Row, I think it's just happened that way because it wasn't being properly maintained for years. The city code would dictate neighboring property owners would be the ones to maintain that. So,
Okay. Well, we were told early on, when we moved in that, oh yes, the park takes care of that. So we were always under that assumption. But whoever takes care of it is fine. We enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, thanks. I will try to be brief. Just want to point out that when we met with the developers at
Sir, could you
Dobbs Park.
speak? Sir, could you speak it? Thanks. People online.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. When we met with the developers at Dobbs Park we were showed the picture that's on there with both the houses and the apartments, and I pointed out that on Beacon, there's a road actually dead center where all the apartment buildings are. In fact, it would run through 2 of them and possibly 4 of them, depending on where the road is. And if you look at Beacon right now, you'll see that road. In fact, you guys should all be aware of that because you sent me a letter with the road in the picture. And when I brought it up to the developers and said, how can you put a road here with these buildings? They laughed and said, this is an old picture. But yet here they are today trying to show it to us. So that's fantastic. Has anybody thought about what's going to happen when those people take those apartments and decide they have nothing better to do and want to have some kind of party? Are they going to move themselves over to Deming Park late at night where they're not supposed to be? I know that there's people that already go through Deming Park when they're not supposed to. It's supposed to close at dusk. That's now going to increase. I would take a real careful look at the traffic study and try to make sure that you notice when they use smoothed out averages, number of vehicles per day. Hey, there's a lot of times where roads are not being used. Take a look at what happens at those peak times, like when all the businesses on Blakely have gotten out or are headed to work. Same thing with Brown. Actually, I'm kind of surprised that they have the front of those houses so close to Brown. Brown is not really that much better than Fruit Ridge. Fruit Ridge is pretty bad. Brown is not that much better. I've almost been in several accidents myself. It seems to be popular that people with Illinois plates, I'm not trying to blame people from Illinois, it just seems to be them, that like to run those stop signs on, not 25th rather, on Ohio and Brown. That seems to be like a game for them. That one's really tricky because it's not a 4-way stop. It's a 6-way stop, and you got to make sure you pay attention to everybody. A lot of people like to cut in front of people. I see that problem getting way worse. So these are just some things to pay attention to. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, one more thing. I apologize. Sure. If the park does decide to get ruined because people want to move themselves over there, the TIF is going to take money away from the county who's in charge of maintaining the parks.
Hi, my name's Kevin Barr, and I live in Edgewood Grove, and I thought I'd remind everybody that in February of 2016, the Terre Haute East Side community opposed the development of apartments at Fruit Ridge and Poplar. At that time, 754 people signed an internet petition in opposition to apartments in the East End, and that was in 2016, and the Terre Haute City Council chose to vote down the zoning of apartments at Fruit Ridge and Poplar. In December of 2021, the Terre Haute East Side community opposed the development of 100 houses in the Meadow School field, primarily because of the possible increase in vehicle traffic and because of the loss of the open field recreation area. At that time, 247 people signed the internet petition. I'm having a hard time understanding why it was decided to apply for the RIF money, knowing the history of the area in the opposition to apartments, and knowing that zoning would be required for the apartments. It seems to me it ignores history. Currently, the internet petition, of which you may be aware of, has been signed now by 972 people. We can safely say that 972 people who are familiar with Ohio Boulevard do not think the proposed development plan is appropriate for the location on Ohio Boulevard. The following changes are suggested in the petition: absolutely no apartments, make the homes of unique or diverse design and keep them consistent with the surrounding neighborhood. Spread the proposed 93 houses that's shown in half of the area there. Spread those 93 houses across the entire area between Ohio Boulevard, Fruit Ridge Avenue, and Brown Avenue in Edgewood Grove. Distributing the 93 houses throughout the area will lessen the potential traffic problem and will allow larger lots and more green space and more trees. In fact, I was told by actually a person in the audience, must have been a number of months ago, that the original farm that was turned into Edgewood Grove, the person that did that paid particular attention to trees And if you drive through Edgewood Grove, you'll see a lot of large chinkapin oak trees. You go through there, you'll notice trees are important to the development. So anyway, that's pretty much sums up what I have to say, other than the fact that it seems to me that even if the developer were to develop just 93 houses in this area, surely they could make pretty good money. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Heidi Isaiah, and I live in Edgewood Grove. I've gone to all of the public opportunities to discuss this that have been available to us, most recently at Dobbs Park. And I took opportunity there to speak with our city council men and women because I had already seen the proposal. Also, during those meetings, someone had suggested that I either go to or listen to the school board. I'm a teacher in this corporation, and I respect our administration. And I realize that we're in a sticky situation. But with the proposal of houses to this extent of $400,000 price point, it does not meet the average median income in Terre Haute, which would mean we would need to bring in additional businesses, as stated. But if you go back and listen to that board meeting, one of the board members stated that he works for Duke Energy. I won't call him out, but you can certainly go back and make the reference. He had said that while working for Duke Energy, they brought in this company that it had been narrowed down to Terre Haute and a southern city in Indiana. And upon bringing, he said, oh, everything's great here. But upon bringing him to our local schools, the gentleman spent 15 minutes in the school, said you got great faculty, which we do. You have great students, which we do, but your buildings suck. And he walked out. So, who, this is rhetorical, is going to come to Terre Haute and buy a $400,000 home in a D and C rated building? Those buildings are on the IDOE.gov site that will tell you, and in the most recent board packet that was presented. Although they do have some what-if solutions, those solutions are down the road. Those are going to be at least 2 or 3 years out. So keep that in mind as well, trying to attract people. You're in a $400,000 home, you got apartment complex next to you. Sure, that's going to go over great. And I don't doubt that initially, the first maybe 3-5 years, the apartments are going to look great. This is for 15 years, this payback on the bond, 20 rather, thank you. What are they going to look like? That's going to be an eyesore right there coming out of Deming Park on the historical piece of Ohio Boulevard. So I really beg to differ that the statement of this will not alter the existing neighborhood is sorely overstated. I think that 10 feet to 15 feet to your neighbor, what are we going to do? Remember, we're probably all around the same age bracket. Remember when you're little, you got the paper cup and you put a string to it. You're going to call your neighbor on a paper cup over a string? And Mr. Beaver, I loved the question that you had asked regarding coming out during peak hours. I think that if I'm understanding all of the diagrams, there are 2 ways in, 2 ways out. Hopefully there's nothing catastrophic like a fire. Think about, you had mentioned only 1 vehicle per house. Who's to say we're not renting to 5 university students that are going to split that tab? That does not reflect the area that we're talking about, the Ohio Boulevard on the historic register. So, that being said, 8 houses across Brown from Ohio Boulevard to Hudson Avenue. 8 houses. That's a lot of density. There's 20 houses from Brown to Adams Boulevard. If you superimpose those pieces, the high density is, if you took that same square footage area out of Edgewood Grove and superimpose it over that, your density is way off. It is not mirroring the neighboring communities. My home is older than Ohio Boulevard. These houses do not reflect what my home is. And I'm not saying that we're too good for development out there. We've been threatened, we've been fear-mongered at both the Clabber Girl meeting. Well, if you don't go for this, you know what you're gonna get? They're gonna build on it tomorrow. Build on it tomorrow. Build those vinyl houses. You wanna know why I say that? There's ownership. There is no ownership in apartments. We all own our homes in this area. We invest back into that property. If you're in an apartment complex, you don't really care. I think that's important to say. Also, regarding the traffic study, that needed to be done anyway. This all needed to be fixed anyway. So now, knowing that it needs to be fixed, let's go ahead and compound it by adding additional 176 apartments and 93 stack and pack 'em houses that you can literally reach out your kitchen window and shake your neighbor's hand. I'm asking that you keep it R1 to fit the historical decor of this area, and vote no for the R3. It's the moral and right thing to do, knowing the historical area. And like Susie Beeson said, once it's done, you cannot unring that bell. This will be on you if it goes through. This will forever be a mark on this committee. Please think long and hard on your decision. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just have a question. What school district is, I mean, which elementary school is that? I can speak to that. Should know, but I don't.
So I live in Edgewood Grove, like I had stated, and the homeschool for, that's a great question. I'm glad you brought it up. The homeschool for Edgewood Grove is Meadows Elementary. We all know what happened to Meadows, correct? So the homeschool for this proposed development would be Devaney. And although, if I'm understanding correctly, the TIF money would go around the TIF district for like the street lights, we're talking the other side of Poplar. There aren't any sidewalks. So these children would not have a homeschool that they could be able to walk to. So right now, when they closed Meadows Elementary, they are currently sitting at a C-D building structurally. I have the documents I'm happy to furnish and share with all of you. Sitting at a C-D building structurally, that's on the IDOE Gov page, and they were at 50 shy of capacity when we closed Meadows. So I hope that answered your question.
Could you get up the picture of the houses where it's curved? What's it? Can you get up the picture of the houses? No, go back to where it's curved. The street's curved. There. One thing about this development, curves add a lot to a picture, and they add a lot to a development. When you look at that, that's a lot more pleasing than if it were a straight line. So why is it curved? Because it looks better. This is not going to be a beautiful subdivision. It's going to be a lot of houses packed in. Maybe the development needs to be a $600 million development instead of a $700 million development. The lots are not big enough. There are 20 houses across from 8 from Brown to Davis. And they're going to be 10 feet apart. They're not going to look like residents on that are on Ohio Boulevard usually. Their yard will be well maintained because I suppose they'll have you know, the landlord will have a fee and they'll take care of that. But it still won't be a pretty yard because they're all so packed together so closely. Years ago, I went to Athens, Greece, and saw the Parthenon. The pillars on it are all curved slightly. You can't really see it. They look straight. The pillars are spaced differently from the middle to there's, you know, a matter of inches. They've all done this so that when you look at it, it's pleasing to the eye. Curves make a lot of difference. There needs to be less houses developed, and I don't think the apartments belong at all. We have another development that went in earlier that the developer on Poplar, by Poplar and Fruit Ridge, that had a very nice development down south with a lot more space, curved roads in it, and they really made it a lot less attractive. If you take a drive through there and try to visualize that, and those are condominiums, but it could have been so much more if they had not overdeveloped it. And that's, you know, I think you need, I don't know how you can control that overdevelopment. If you can say that the lots have to be larger than that, something needs to be done if you're going to put this in, because it will ruin Ohio Boulevard the way it's designed. It won't be pretty. And it'll be probably a future slum. In 20, 40 years, it'll be, the houses are too close. You know, it's just not a good development for that, for the boulevard. So, thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Kathy Falks Aarons. I happen to live on South 6th Street Boulevard now, but I grew up at Ohio and Adams Boulevard. Built that house when I was in the 3rd grade. I was the first, my class was the first class that went all the way through Meadows out there. I have a lot of respect for that area, Deming Park and everything. I want to know, I know we're talking about density. How big are the backyards in those places? Are they postage stamps? You know, I think everybody needs, besides the front and the driveway and all that stuff, the backyard. You've got kids. You have kids that don't have a school, the Meadows, to go through anymore. You've got, have you ever been, for your traffic study, have you ever been on Brown Avenue when they had anything going on at Meadows? What is it, Boys and Girls Club? I tried to come out of the Grove one time. I couldn't go anywhere except north because it was all backed up in traffic in both directions. And there's more than just Ohio Street, there's more than Ohio Boulevard, there's more than Fruit Ridge, even though, I mean, more stoplights. We just love stoplights in this town. You know, if we're gonna do something, let's fix it. Let's put up a stoplight. You can't get anywhere. My sister has a home out in Arizona. She said she can go 10 miles faster than she can in Terre Haute in just the 3 miles going anywhere because of all our stoplights and stop signs. I don't mind all that, but there's too many stoplights. You're just going to put up stop lines. There's going to be a problem with Brown Avenue. It's not now, but it will be when you get people that can't figure out that 6-way stop. That's been kind of like growing up there, you learn how to make that, how to do that stop. But if you don't live there and you don't do it all the time, it's a crazy little intersection. And going in and out of Deming Park, as I say, that backs up, trying to go across Fruit Ridge, you know, to get into Deming Park. The turn lanes on Poplar Street, you've got the park, you've got houses, you've got railroad tracks in your way to do anything. And I don't like making Ohio Boulevard skinnier, you know, just for a bike lane. I don't mind bike lanes, but it's a beautiful boulevard. That's the whole thing. It's that size all the way down, you know, from 19th Street, and it should remain that way going into the park. It's, as Deming said, that was his little idea of putting up the park, and that was the entrance. And it's a beautiful area all the way from 19th Street. It takes all the way out there. The density on all that, I think, is too much. I can't say because I don't live there anymore, anything whole bunch about it, except that I love that area. I grew up in that area. I started there in the 3rd grade and went all the way through Wiley. We used to run up and down Ohio Boulevard all the time from Wiley. I don't know, if they do that anymore, if they can. But I just think it's the density is what bothers me more than anything. They need more space in between the houses, bigger backyards. They were talking about there's 3-car garages, they said, in these. So if you got 3 garages, you got 3 cars maybe. That's adding a lot to that, going in and out of that area. So I just think, I agree, they need to think about it a lot more. We need the housing, yes, maybe, but I don't know that we need $93,000, $40,000, $100,000 houses. Is that right? Whatever they are. I don't think we need that. We could do less, and this town would be quite happy. There's enough. Tonight they were talking about all these places where they're building subdivisions in other areas that, that'll take care of some of this. So you're not looking. You've got to look at the whole area, just not Ohio Boulevard. It's a beautiful area, and I think we should keep it that pretty. Thank you.
And I can accommodate your couple of comments about the traffic study. So we're not looking to narrow the boulevard. What we'd be looking is narrowing the travel lanes. So right now they're 12-foot lanes. I do agree about stop signs. The city's or stop signals. The city's in the process of working towards removing some. There is a time and a place for them. And with this development, that intersection does reach that criteria.
Can I leave some copies of the data I was referencing?
Sure.
This is the age and condition of the school buildings.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this issue? Sure.
Just a real quick question.
Sure.
What size are the garages for the homes? 1 car, 2 car?
I think they vary, but the developer could certainly answer that.
It's a combination of 2 or 3 car garages.
Because I heard 1.5, and I've never owned half a car. So it is minimum of 2?
Correct.
Anything else new?
Just a 30-second comment. I know I already spoke, but I just.
Okay.
I'll be really fast.
All right.
It seems to me that there are many questions tonight about the traffic study. Some of you have not read your packets, and I'm sure you have a lot of letters in there from a lot of people. I know I've written many letters myself. I think it would be best, and I don't know if anyone will agree with me or if you will, if we could table this. This is too big of a project. It's a huge development with a gigantic impact on the city of Terre Haute, on our neighborhood. Yes, I'm prejudiced. I want to have our neighborhood beautiful and maintained. There are questions about the study, questions about the letters in the packet. Sometimes it's only one word that will change someone's mind. And that could be positive or negative. But that one word might be in a letter that's in your packet that you have not read. I'm not blaming you. I know you just got the packets. It's just the way it is. Because of the scope and the grandeur of this project, please table this, give it due diligence, read it, think about it, drive through the neighborhood, envision the apartments, envision the homes, and put the decision down the road. Give it due diligence. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Steve Savachka. I live at 343 Jolie Court in the Beaumont subdivision. directly across from where the apartments will be. I moved to this area 45 years ago. I lived on 22nd and Ohio, and I said I always want to live on Ohio Boulevard. And this plot of land came up in Beaumont that I was able to buy. And I built my house because I like the peace and the quiet and serenity of the area, the wildlife. I mean, there's deer, there's fox, there's everything. They come over and visit, drink out of my water fountain and my bird baths. But, you know, that's more of my problem. The other issue, I walk up and down Ohio Boulevard every day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year with my dog. I can't count how many times I've had a close call, walking either across Brown Avenue or into the park. I try to steer my dog away from the park, even though she loves it, because it's almost impossible at certain times of the day to get across. I've been fortunate that our police department was coming by a few times, and they put their lights on and they stopped the traffic for me to come across. I thought that was very good of them. Very few people do that. There are a few that do that. The problem is that people don't follow the law that the pedestrian, the state law is the pedestrian has a right-of-way and a crosswalk. They don't do that. Same thing on Brown. They don't. You'll see two cars, and I don't know, I haven't seen the study, but I see a lot of it because I walk various times of the day. One car goes across and the guy behind him goes across. Happens all the time. One car is turning, let's say, he's going south on Brown, and he's turning to east on Ohio, and the car coming north on Brown will pull out while he's turning. That happened to me in my car a couple of times. You know, I had turn signals on, I stopped at the sign. It's just, I haven't seen the traffic study, but I know right now it's not good for pedestrians. I have neighbors down the street that have 3 young children, and they play in their front yard all the time. People, and I was surprised that you did get the average speed at 52 miles an hour. That's not unusual. I mean, I've seen cars going 70 and 80 miles an hour up there. Matter of fact, my neighbor reported one car that was exceeding 90 miles an hour. So with that said, adding all this additional traffic, people new to the community, I mean, you're not going to be able to get across Adams Boulevard, and I don't know what recommendations you made there. People, when you pull out on Ohio Boulevard, let's say from Adams, and they are going to go west, they don't look east. So I'm stepping off the curb, and here this guy just takes off in front of me. And the same thing with going on Ohio and Fruit Ridge. I'm in the middle of the traffic lane, and somebody just decides they're going to make a turn in front of me. I've said many bad words. But I retired here. I had to leave Terre Haute for 8 years for business to Indianapolis. I came back. I spent a lot of money in this community, many hundreds of thousands of dollars locally. All my house was built by a local builder. I bought all my cars, local people, all my furniture, local. I liked where I live. At night, it's quiet, not too much light. And the other thing I don't think anybody's considered is noise and light pollution. I mean, it's very nice out at night, you know, to go out in my front yard and look out and see the animals, or, I mean, I get a lot of deer in the side yard, and they don't do any destruction or anything. And as far as being close together on the housing part, back of my house backs up to the condos. on Poplar. And I can hear somebody talking on the phone 2 houses away, which is a lot further than 30 feet. So, I mean, with that all said, and of course, you know, the way it looks, Ohio Boulevard is the gem of our community. I don't object to houses that are equal. They don't have to be better than where we live. I mean, our subdivision has some houses that are 7 figures. Unfortunately, mine isn't one of them, but, you know, and I'm not expecting that type of house over there, but something that looks good. I mean, we understand it's R1, it's somebody's personal property, they can do what they want. And I don't think anybody in this room would complain if the houses are spread out more, but as I understand from the builder, it's all or nothing. Either you do it R3 or they don't do it. And one last thing, as far as the TIF money, I mean, bottom line is we're going to end up paying it back. So it's not free money. And that's about it. Does anybody have any questions for me? I'm not a great speaker, but I'm trying to get my point across. All right, thank you very much for your time.
All right. Anything else new? We're gonna have to wrap it up in about 5 or 10 minutes, so unless there's.
Dave Scharzer, Edgewood Grove. Something he said, that I heard in one of the other meetings. You guys got to answer this. So there's a guy that wants to build some houses. Somebody wants to build some houses, and then they want to build some apartments. Do you have to have the apartments for the guy to build the houses? I thought I heard somebody say, well, if we don't get both ends, we're not building the houses.
You don't get the state funding that's available.
Yeah, well, I don't care about that. That's like that guy said, it's not, we got to pay it back anyways. But is the guy not going to build all the houses if they don't get the apartments too?
We don't have any idea what
what
the guy might do. They have proposed this multifamily, single-family development. That's all we know.
Yeah, so that's kind of sounds like they want them both, or we don't know if they're going to settle for one if they don't get the apartments. To me, it sounds like if we don't get the apartments, we're not going to do it. That's what it sounds like. That's what I'm trying to find out, because I don't care whether they build houses or not. I mean, it's their property, they can do whatever they want. But if it's one of those, well, if we don't get the apartments, we're not doing that, then I know there's some back door here. So that's all I wanted to know, is if that's going to happen or not. That's it.
Okay. Okay, this will be it, and then I'm going to have the developer an opportunity to.
I did speak to the builder over at Dobbs Park, and they reiterated more than once that if we don't get the R3 zoning for the apartments, we won't build at all. It's either all or nothing, quote unquote.
Yeah, I think the project depends on that. Yeah, financially, I think it depends on that. That's correct. Developer like an opportunity to redirect. You've had
Just one question.
one more question, and then that's it.
If they knew this was all or nothing, why didn't they work on the zoning before applying for the loan?
I can't tell you why the developer did anything, and that's really not relevant. Go ahead. Mr. Felling, Mr. Koister, then I'll give that plan commission an opportunity.
Just briefly,
Sure.
again, to summarize, with the timing, background on the residential TIFs, that's just a new state statute within the past 2 years. So there wasn't a lot of time with regard to the planning and having the state funding available. On the flip side of that, we're also in a hurry. I know there was a request to table. That state funding is only earmarked for us as long as this TIF and this project's moving forward by July the 1st. So we need to have action by the board. And again, anytime we're having any type of big development, there's always a request for more discussion. We've tried to do everything in our power to create as much discussion about this project as we possibly can. Again, we're at our 5th meeting. We'll have 2 more public meetings as well. I've had an open door policy at my office. I haven't heard anything directly from the public to date, other than in these public settings. But I know myself, the landowner, and the developers will be happy to answer any questions. And I know Marcus's office will be open as well to discuss the traffic study that was completed. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian, did you have anything else? Okay. Any comments or questions from any members of the Plan Commission? To the developers or anyone? I would like to offer a few comments of my own because I can't help myself. I think it was right at 50 years ago that I began to ride my bicycle down Ohio Boulevard, working at Calvary Cemetery 6 days a week during the summer when I was 13 years old. I can't believe my parents let me ride my bicycle. From 8th and Locust, we were a low to middle income family, and if anybody's familiar with 8th and Locust Street, our houses are all gone now. They are all university houses, and I cannot tell you. And I went down Ohio Boulevard because Wabash Avenue seemed a little bit scary for a 13-year-old on Stingray. And I marveled at the stately houses and the boulevard. I mean, to me, I didn't grow up in that kind of neighborhood. But I can also tell you that I was not offended when I reached 25th Street and saw a junior high school that was built over 100 years ago to my right. Nor was I offended when I then would pass a booming, at that time, commercial retail shopping center where we got all of our school clothes. Didn't offend me when I passed Schulte High School, which I went to until the last year that they were open. So I agree that Ohio Boulevard is a stately gem, but it has not been adversely impacted for over 100 years with those amenities, and more recently, and I lose track of time, there's a multi-story nursing home facility in another vacant piece of property that did not get built out when Deming, Holman Meadows, stopped developing. A similar situation exists with Edgewood Grove. Edgewood Grove was started approximately 100 years ago. And at that time, a four-story multifamily housing development was included. And it's still there today. And for some reason, that multifamily housing unit has not adversely impacted the other residents of Edgewood Grove. People moved into Ohio Boulevard, left it, moved back with that commercial retail center still there. Schulte High School became another business office building. Doesn't seem to offend anybody. The property was owned by a family whose legacy to this community will probably never be matched. This proposal will go a long way to complete a project that was started over 100 years ago. It was platted as part of Edgewood Grove. Yes, it was. Not only was it platted, when Ohio Boulevard was built, there were entrances into this property that existed for my whole 63 years here. They took them out a few years ago, and I don't know why. But there were entrances at every crossing in the boulevard that went into this property because the future development was always contemplated.
R1, not 3.
Yeah, you had your time. Now it's my time. Finally, I understand that our mayor is in the process of trying to gather a group of investors, developers from other parts of the region or other states to show off our community, to try to cause people to come in and invest in our community. It'd be a terrible shame for him to gather all these developers and the first thing he has to tell them is that this area plan commission and this city council just snubbed their nose at a $70 million investment by a local developer. Anything else from anybody else? Then I'll entertain a motion.
I would make a motion for favorable recommendation.
Is there a second?
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Records show 2 opposed. Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you. Poor old Richard. He has the last night. He has the last night. Well, he's looking like I'm sorry. Well, I got one agenda item. Poor old Richard Shagley's sitting back there. I think he fell asleep.
Shame on you.
He probably wants to let it clear out.
I want to mention this because everyone's talking about how safe it is. So we are sitting.
He probably doesn't care if he has to wait now. Let these people get out of here.
I'm glad hands are low.
Right there. This is a traffic accident. Fixing stuff without funding. Pretty low. We heard how dangerous it is.
That's right, yeah. If you had opposition like this, you would have never built. I mean, I'm sure you did at times. I know. Richard's back there talking. Mr. Shagley, would you like for us to entertain your petition?
I'd be happy to just wait another hour.
We thought you
I
felt.
thought they were all here for me.
We thought our last item on the agenda is docket number 44, special ordinance number 17, 2025, 1735 Dahlin Avenue from an R1 to a C1 PD Regional Commercial District Plan Development.
The property owner is Cherry Development LLC, represented by Mr. Shagley. Proposed use is a daycare center. Proposed zoning is C1 Plan Development. Current zoning is R1 Single Family Residence District. It has R1 to the northeast and south, and mobile home conditional use and R1 Plan Development to the west. Plan developments are uses that may be permitted under certain circumstances that are not permitted use in a zone district where said plan development is proposed. A plan development is a floating zone. Before a plan development can be considered, the petitioner must show proof of one of the following unique circumstances. The petitioner has a hardship due to the physical characteristics of the land, hardship due to the improvements on the land, hardship due to adjacent scattered incompatible uses, hardship due to the general deterioration of the neighborhood, or parcel located near a district boundary line. When it is determined by the Area Plan Commission and the City Council that hardship does exist, a plan development of certain uses may be approved for any zone lot. However, it must be determined that said proposed uses, if approved, will be in the public's interest and substantial justice will be done for that neighborhood. Approval of said proposed uses shall not have the intent of nullifying the purpose of the zoning regulations. The petitioner is requesting to rezone to C1 Plan Development for a child care center, Cherry Tree Early Learning Center. In the plan development petition, a variance was requested from the required buffer to residential. A buffer to residential is not required in the C1 district. A plan development also only allows variances for setback requirements and off-street parking requirements through the plan development ordinance. The language for this should be removed from the ordinance. The petition submitted, again, I'm revising this. You have another handout with the recommendation from the city. So I am changing my recommendation a little bit. Mr. Shagley did meet with the city, and so they have requested a revised drop-off pickup plan per the max occupant load for children and number of employees for the proposed child care center to be attached and recorded with the application. The current location does have some White Rock off-street parking already established for employees and will need to be altered based on off-street parking requirements per city code, or a variance be applied for through the Board of Zoning Appeals. Also, the city has requested the property to convert back to an R1 if the child care center ceases to exist or changes use. Also, the parking area changed to hard surface parking as per the city code. They offered a favorable recommendation, assuming that the above is followed and recorded. So staff changed their recommendation to favorable following the conditions requested by the Department of Engineering, which is the drop-off pickup plan, be approved, attached, and recorded with the plan development ordinance.
Mr. Shagley.
I'd like to thank all the people who stayed to support me this evening.
Yeah, I think Eddie's here in opposition.
Yeah, thank you. He's probably going to speak against it.
Probably right.
My name's Richard Shagley. I'm with the law firm Wright, Shagley & Lowry. And tonight I'm here on behalf of Cherry Development LLC. Cherry Development owns this property located at 1735 Dahlem Avenue. It's kind of a strange building. It was used for a daycare before, and that's kind of the hardship path we're going down as far as it's kind of a commercial use in a residential area. And the other reason we're going for the C1 plan development, as you may recall, I was in front of you last month for another daycare. That was for a 24/7-hour daycare that was right in the middle of a residential area. The staff gave that a favorable, you gave favorable, the city council approved it, all is well. Tonight, I'm here for another daycare center. It's not going to be 24 hours. But the beauty about this one is the location. It's located in Tarrytown. It is currently a block and a half, 2 blocks away from what is, in my opinion, a massive development in the area. There's going to be over 75 new single-family homes, along with some rental properties as well, apartments. Which the way they're selling, it's geared towards more the starter families, young kids. This is a perfect daycare location. And if you've ever been in the market for daycare, the quality of daycare is very important, but the location is important as well. And this is a good location for that. And the reason we also went for the C1 plan development, as Sisney stated, if this is no longer used for a daycare, it's not going to stay as a commercial. It's going to revert back to residential. So you're not going to get a Starbucks, although they probably like that, a gas station or some other commercial property in this. It'll revert back to residential to protect the residents. There was some discussion, and I believe we discussed this last month. The city council is currently looking at a revision of the zoning ordinance because there is a need for a class dealing with daycare centers. And through the help of Marcus and his team, in the city engineer's office, we're trying to comply with the proposed new rules without the new rules being in place. And that's why we're here tonight with the C1 plan development with the reversion back to the R1. I have about 2 hours more material if you'd like me to go through that, or I can just stop there and ask if you have any questions, or from the audience.
Any questions from the planning commission? Go ahead.
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. We've worked with Richard on this one and the previous one he mentioned. He and his client have taken every step that we've asked. We realize the whole, so since this is a child care center, the state requires it to be a commercial zoning. And we don't want to put commercial zonings that could be something else in these, but we do realize child care centers need to be close to whatever destination, whether it's home or work. And so it's a great location. This gives us a good opportunity to kind of do a test run and refine what we're hoping to do with our zoning class, and I'm hoping to see it before City Council in August.
Great. Okay.
Along those lines, if I may, Mr. President, the location, one of the best daycares we had in our community was located out St. Mary of the Woods. And it was the worst location for a daycare in our community. If you put that, anywhere around it would still be operating, it'd be still helping our youth, but unfortunately it was a bad location. And as Marcus said, unfortunately the daycares need to be where the people are living because of that convenience. And that's why the city's working to try to make that happen, and we're just trying to work with the city to make it happen in a way that works for everybody.
Great. Any other questions from the Plan Commission?
May I ask,
You,
what
sure.
What are you guys planning to do, that reverting back?
Yeah.
Because it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you're writing.
Right.
It's in there.
That's what's in this
That's what
one.
a
We
plan
can't
development.
do that with everything. So a plan development requires a hardship to move forward.
Yeah.
In this case, the hardship is that it would put a C1 in a residential area and the requirement for the zoning. So we can't do that, but what we're looking at for the zoning classes, it would be very restrictive, and it would allow what R1 allows, or a child care center only. So it wouldn't revert, but it would be the same thing, if that
It's
makes sense.
protecting the neighbors, which is the most important thing.
I like the reverting back better, but I understand the complications.
Yeah.
I assume you two are okay with this? Go ahead, he's got a question.
You said it reverts back to R1 if the daycare doesn't go in.
This
Yeah,
will
after-
in plan development, yes.
Yeah, after 6 months.
But you want to go like to a C1 or?
It'll be a C1 plan. This is similar, I've done, I don't know, countless daycares, R1 plan developments. Now, because of this change in what the city's trying to do to shore up this gap, now the strategy, along with the state law that child care centers have to be commercial, it's a way to protect the residences it's a way to protect the residences when you put a C1 in their neighborhood. Because the problem is, you want the daycares close to where people are living without that commercial part of it. So the solution is the C1 plan development. I don't know if that did anything to explain it, but
Well, why do you have to rezone it to a C1? Keep it as an R1?
you can't do a child care center in an R1.
The state doesn't allow it.
Yeah.
That was my question.
Oh, okay. That would have been, I could have answered that a little bit.
You took a long way to get there.
Long way to get around it, right?
Yeah. I just felt they got so much time tonight, mine have all been quick. I was trying to make up for it.
Your ego's hurt, isn't it?
It's tough. It is difficult. It is difficult.
Bring a PowerPoint.
I'll make a motion for a favorable.
Thank
I will second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
I want to make a
Second.
motion that we approve.
Second.
Thank you very
Favor?
much. Have a good
Aye.
evening.
We are adjourned.
We're gonna, we're starting brown on this south end. That would, eventually the goal is brown from south to north to get the sidewalk and the trail. But I think a quicker alternative is if we get this, so we've got a study going on for that now. If we get the okay from the railroad, I really hope we build it quickly because you don't, we've been trying for 20 years to get the railroad to say yes, and we're finally gonna say maybe. And it's a pretty strong maybe, where I think if we give them what they want, they're gonna say yes. Just to show us that we can have a fence and separation and meet all their safety stuff.